we are then with the Ferrari Challenge North America qualifying to get underway. What a phenomenal season we've had in North America this year. It all started at the beginning of March in Homestead, Miami. Then it was to the Circuit of the Americas, then Road Atlanta, then Montreal. Then it was off to Sonoma in the wonderful Napa Valley region of California. Then Road America, and of course here we are. All roads lead to Tuscany for the Finale Mondiale event here in Mugello. The North American drivers have given us some absolutely awesome racing this season. No question about that. So we will see how they cope with a European track right now as we get the green flag and green light on for their qualifying session to get underway. Now, Matt Kojewski, who showed his talent at the Winter Series right at the beginning of the year, he sealed the Trofeo Pirelli Championship in North America and comes here as a champion-elect and fantastic driver he is as well. I think we're on board here with David Veronin. Yes, indeed, we are. David Veronin and Cameron Root have been having a fantastic ding-dong battle in terms of the Ferrari Challenge. They have really delivered some fantastic racing in Copa-Shell, and it'll be interesting to see who manages to seal the deal and take the championship towards the end of this weekend. So we have some 30 drivers from Ferrari Challenge North America that have made the long-haul travel over here to Europe. Now, some of them will be more familiar with the Mugello circuit than some others, and we're looking forward to seeing how they manage to get to grips with this really rather challenging track. One of those that has got a lot of experience here at Mugello is Lisa Clark. And Lisa Clark for Ferrari Beverly Hills will be driving the 327 car. There's David Veronin then giving us the thumbs up. He's ready to go, and right on cue, off he goes. Our timing screen tells us that it's a wet track. Thanks. We kind of guessed that. And we're on board here with David Veronin then, making his first kind of installation lap as the heavens are beginning to open once again, and rain is coming down. And already having gone around is the car of Thor Haugen for Ferrari Westlake. So Thor Haugen has gone around. He's found the limit of the adhesion. He's perhaps not quite where he expected it to be, but he got the car to safety, and Thor is able to get back going again in the 325 car. As I mentioned, the Ferrari Westlake Ferrari Challenge Copa-Shell driver Thor Haugen then in car 325. 30 minutes of qualifying for our drivers then, and alongside me is the fine German commentator who I've worked with for a number of years. Not necessarily on the air all the time, on account of the fact my German is not very good, and also he's never invited me, and I think that's more because I smell than anything else. But I know Oliver.
There are two lies at this moment. Welcome. German is perfect, and everything is fine.
Forgive me interrupting you, but Omar Balkasoon has just gone around as well. And Omar Balkasoon's car is one of the most interesting liveries that you can see on a Ferrari Challenge car, the 488 Challenge Evo car. Omar Balkasoon. Welcome, Omar, to Mugello. Great to see you here. And actually, thanks for turning it around, because that gave our cameras the opportunity to really focus on this wonderful. I mean, we say in North America often that, you know, when you've got the blank canvas of a 488 Challenge Evo, what a wonderful car to put your mark on personally. And
this is one example of how you can do this. But as we did already in the other series, the next one, they're standing in the wrong direction, and we see the rain coming down, and it was not expected. And I once again did a view on the meteor, on the satellite pictures, and the wind somewhere in the mountains pushed this clouds down here to Mugello, and so we have the rain again, and it is again at the beginning of the qualifying, and it makes it not easier for all the cars and the drivers here, and we have the first red flag after nearly exact the same time as we had in the Europe.
If I'm not mistaken, that was the John Viscup car for Boardwalk Ferrari that is in the gravel. Yes, it is. So John Viscup then finding the limit of Dijon. Was not where he expected it to be, and the gravel trap doing exactly the job. Now, you know, we moan about the fact that when sessions get suspended, as Roberto Perena, who is another really, really talented driver, finds the back end overtaking the front, which is not what he wanted.
But he was the car we saw on board coming the way to us. Yeah.
So he was recovering at that point when we saw him. First and foremost, you've checked out the weather conditions. Is this rain going to be long lasting, or is it
10 to 15?
Okay, thank you. Right, so these drivers have got to put up with this as we take a look at the replays. Now, that was the Omar Balkasoon spin. Now, where Omar was lucky, if I can say lucky, was that he was able to use the tarmac runoff area. So there you can see the team's going to work on the 213 car of Mark Musso. And there you can see the Pirelli wet weather tyres there, and the Mark Musso car is in, and I'm just taking a look at the meteorological forecast, and it's going to be with us for a little while, this rain, isn't it? You know, it's going to be towards, you know, we've got potentially about another 10 minutes of it, I would have said. The 333 car of Matt Dalton that we look at, and you can see the Mark Musa car there, the 213 car that you can just see at the back of that shot. Now, this is Matt Kurjeski, who we're on board with right now. I was waxing lyrical about Matt because he took part in the Winter Series in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. One of the North American drivers to do that. He was awesome there, absolutely awesome, and he's had a stellar season in the Ferrari Challenge North America and has taken the Trofeo Pirelli Championship. Such a talented driver. Raced in NASCAR previously, and Matt's made of stern stuff, and he's a really, really nice young man as well, and he has really focused very, very hard. He's been coached by Alessandro Balzan, which is, you know, all of these drivers, or most of these drivers, most of these drivers all have driver coaches. Ale Balzan is up there with the best of them. We saw the Ray Acosta car just a moment ago, and once again, let's look at the Thor Haugen car now. Thor was in Spa-Francorchamps, taking some liquid on board now, and we have all the classes of the Ferrari Challenge North America out in the same qualifying session. So by that I mean we've got the Pirelli AM drivers, the Pirelli drivers, the Shell drivers, and the Shell AM drivers all out. Some 30 of our North American drivers have made the long haul over here to Europe, and I can say on behalf of everyone, we're delighted that you're here, and thank you. And this is the Ferrari of Atlanta driver, Lance Corley. Super driver and loves his Ferrari racing, and Ferrari of Atlanta, such a supportive team as all the teams are, and I can say supportive to me as well, because when I was over in California, they made sure that, a bit like you've done this weekend thus far, well, I say weekend, it's only Wednesday, they made sure that I got back to my hotel in one piece, on account of the fact I got a puncture in my bicycle in California. Yes. If you believe that, you'll believe anything. There is Brian Cook. 203. Now, there is Lisa Clark that I was mentioning, who's done race.
Famous livery.
And there is the 399 car of Cameron Root. Now, I was mentioning earlier the really fantastic battle that Cameron Root and David Veronin have been having in the Copa Shell series, which, of course, will reach its conclusion towards the end of this week here in Mugello. And there you can see the 332 car of Jan Bernier, the Ferrari of Seattle driver. Jan and I had a fantastic chat when we were on the coach heading to the drivers' parade at Le Mans, where, of course, you and I were as well.
Yeah, and it was a great event in this year.
Great event for us, because that wonderful hypercar.
You just give me 5 more seconds. Yeah, it was a great event for Trofeo Pirelli, for Copa Shell, but extraordinary for the hypercar and the GT project, and it was, from the atmosphere, it was outstanding in this year. Just for you outside, that you can figure out which category we have the 200 numbers with the Pirelli AM and the Pirelli drivers, and the 300 cars, 300 numbers, the Shell and Shell LM.
Absolutely, you're right. So the numbers can tell you which class they're in, as indeed can the sun strip, and I say that in inverted commas because there isn't a lot of that at the moment. The Pirelli drivers have got the white strip across the Pirelli AM drivers have the white strip across the top of the windscreen. Pirelli drivers have a red strip across the top of the windscreen. The Shell AM drivers have a black strip. The Shell drivers have a yellow strip. There you go. So you can identify exactly who is what and in what class they are racing.
That easy it is.
Or qualifying, I should say. But of course, qualifying critical because it's going to set the grid positions for the races to come, with first fastest lap and second fastest lap actually counting on this particular finale Mondiale event. There's Bruce Cleveland. Now, Bruce Cleveland, another fantastic driver, driving for Ferrari Silicon Valley in the 358 car. We're talking to Bruce's wife at lunch earlier on, and Bruce had a fantastic time of it at his home gig, which was Sonoma. He resides in that area of California, and if memory serves me, and my memory is failing, that's an age thing. I'm pretty sure that Bruce took 2 out of 2 out that weekend. Forgive me if I've got that wrong. I suppose the answer is just a check, isn't it? I've got all the paperwork in front of me, but you know what it's like when you've got so many screens and laptops and all the rest of it. But
that gave Phil the chance to commentate, and you will come in back in 20 minutes after you found it.
2 out of 2. P1 in both races at Sonoma. He followed that up with another win in Road America as well. Yeah. Let's give you the championship point standings as the cars are warming up right now. Cameron Root and David Veronin. There's Cameron Root is leading on 133 points at the moment. David Veronin on 116. In terms of Copa Shell AM, it's Lisa Clark that's leading the way ahead of Bruce Cleveland, who we were just talking about, who's P2 in the points at the moment. Now, as I mentioned, for Trofeo Pirelli, well, Matt Kojewski is champion-elect and has sealed the championship already in terms of Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli North America. However, when it comes to Ferrari Challenge North America Trofeo Pirelli AM, I think I'm right in saying it is between Justin Rothberg and Tony Davis. Justin Rothberg has got a healthy lead over Tony Davis, and as if by magic we had just for momentarily reminding myself that I saw Justin Rothberg walking through the pit lane. I didn't speak to him. He'll be grumpy with me for that. Super young man, as indeed is Tony Davis, who's been driving really, really well this year.
The 298 car trying to overtake
McCade Wang.
Bringing him in a position where he can pull away, but at the moment...
This is Dana Goodwin. Now, the Ferrari Seattle driver, Dana Goodwin, then. Now, I was earlier mentioning if you've got the 488 Challenge Evo as your blank canvas, Dana Goodwin has gone for the traditional Ferrari red look, and the car looks just as stunning, doesn't it, as some of the more intricate liveries, if I may say. You know, and Dana Goodwin for Ferrari of Seattle, another very, very talented driver in the 346 car, driving in the Ferrari Challenge Copa Shell AM class. I want to do a big shout out, if I can, for a driver that is missing this weekend and is not here this weekend. And the reason he's not here this weekend is because it's a pretty big wedding anniversary, and so you can understand the reason for that said driver not being here this weekend. And ironically, the driver not only races in Ferrari Challenge, but the wife races in the Club Challenge as well. And who you're talking about? Well, of course, I'm talking about the fantastic driver that actually, up until a point this year, Dan Cornish was in a championship challenging position, but Dan missed another round and knew he wasn't going to be able to make this round. So Dan Cornish and Lisa Clark, who are very, very good friends, and Dan has had some terrific results this year. He, like Lisa, was another one of the drivers that appeared at Le Mans this year and said it was just such a thrill to be there. And yeah, Dan, we miss you, friend. Look forward to seeing you next season, I hope. Dana Goodwin, though, we're watching right now, the Ferrari of Seattle driver. We'll get some times on the board very, very soon. We haven't got any up there yet. The 346 car, as I mentioned, of Dana Goodwin and Bruce Cleveland is out there, and we're seeing some improvements now. And as the Dana Goodwin car will cross the timing line now, we'll start to get some times up on the board that we can report into you, which, frankly, is our job. So Dana Goodwin crosses the timing line with a 2:28.047. McCade Wang with a 2:28.717. Now, the best of anyone at the moment is Lance Corley for Ferrari of Atlanta with a 2:27.720. Expect this man that we ride on board with now to be very quick, Matt Kojewski. Frank Szczesniak is doing a good job, and Ray Acosta has just gone quicker than anyone with a 2:26.
They do it at the right moment because the rain is coming back.
Forgive me, Brian Cook has just done a 2:22, so we're seeing bucketfuls of time being taken out, and Cameron Root is the quickest of the Shell drivers with a 2:24.231. It's Brian Cook, Dylan Medler, and Cameron Root, then the top three at the moment. And here comes Matt Kojewski. Take a look at the graphics on the bottom of your screen here. S1, S2, coloured purple. What does that mean? He is absolutely quicker than anyone that's out there on track. He's got one more turn to do. The Ferrari Beverly Hills driver, who is Trofeo Pirelli champion, accelerates now. Perhaps not with the same force that he would on a dry track because he doesn't want the back end to step out. But this is going to be a phenomenal time from Matt Kojewski, a 2:17.050 from the Ferrari Beverly Hills start. That's 5.6 seconds quicker than anybody else at the moment.
And we compared with the time from the previous session. It's quite close to the pole time with just a half a second. At this time, just running 19 more minutes from now. And if the rain, yeah, it comes back, but it is not that heavy, he can again improve, and then it's maybe a 2:15 later.
Wow, let's see. So at the moment, Matt Kojewski is the best. Roberto Perena has improved. He is second fastest with a 2:22.317. Brian Cook still the best of the Pirelli Am drivers. Cameron Root and Cyril Joxy are the top two Shell drivers. And for the Shell Am drivers, it's Lance Corley ahead of Dana Goodwin and Steve Check, who I was also talking to at lunchtime, and it was great to see Steve again. And we were having a nice old natter, as you do. It's part of the joy of the Ferrari paddock, I have to say. And Custodio Toledo we saw just a few moments ago as Matt Kojewski is once again improving. So he's taken quite a chunk of time because his sector one is 45.535. That means he is up quite a lot on his previous best. Here's the Mark Musso car, and here comes Matt Kojewski then for Ferrari at Beverly Hills. Look at that cumulative time. He's found 2.7 seconds. That's extraordinary. I mean,
indeed it is, and he managed it with stronger getting rain conditions, and now he loses the time. That's a shame that you are blocked in this way. He was on a really, really good run for this time, was 2.7 seconds faster than the last one, and was outstanding already.
The thing is, and I do make this point, and I'm quite defensive of drivers, they're not blocking intentionally. But if you are driving a 488 Challenge EVA, you can't make it disappear into thin air. And that's always going to compromise the line that you want to take. But for Matt Kojewski, it was still enough for him to deliver. Make a note of this, a 2:14.383, 2:14.383. That's better
than expected.
Better than expected. Dylan Medler is second fastest. Justin Rothberg, the man I ignored as he headed towards lunch in the paddock, is the best of the Pirelli Am drivers now ahead of Brian Cook. And the best Shell driver remains Cameron Root. The best of the Shell Am drivers is Steve Check for Ferrari of Rancho Mirage.
It's quite interesting how the mix is in between all the categories. They are nearly all categories in the top 10, and in the top 5 there are 3 different category drivers.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? Rain is beginning to intensify, I think, as it comes down. Just taking a look at that camera shot. I don't know whether I'm seeing things, but I don't think so. I think that is now beginning to come down a little bit more than it did. We were looking at the Cyril Joxy car, but now we're looking at Roberto Perena. Now, Roberto Perena is pushing. You can see the back end of the car step out as he tries to find the absolute limits of adhesion. from the 488 Challenge. Evo's, of course, running with the Pirelli rubber. And you can see how much more slippery it is when you get onto the painted stuff.
Yeah, that's the point. In the upper part of the track, the rain is, here you can see, heavy, and the east part of the track, it's still dry.
And the thing is, it is 5.2 kilometers, and it is very undulating. So there are lots of, whoa, that was a nice slide. It's not the quickest way around that, but we enjoyed watching it.
But it's impressive how much feeling he has to bring the car back on track.
Natural talent. Roberto Perena drives really, really well. He's been the architect of some fantastic performances and some incredible saves that we're seeing here. I'm glad our director is keeping with this car at the moment, because it's providing great entertainment for us. It's perhaps not the quickest way around this circuit. Again, he just has to use a bit of opposite lock to control the sliding back end, but you never once think that he has not got this, Roberto Perena. He's got it all completely under control. It's well within his huge bucket full of talent to be able to control the car.
But you also see when he is shifting up that in this moment also the rear is a bit sliding, and you see how difficult the conditions are out there with the, here again, with the wet on the tarmac and the impressive power you bring on the rear with this Ferrari.
There is no doubt about it that the rain has increased as we look at Brian Cook then. Now, Brian Cook is the best of the Pirelli AM drivers. He's trying to weave himself through here and trying to get past the Treble 2 car that we can see. Now, again, I make the point that you can't just make your car disappear, and Michael Porter, as we can see, a yellow flag at turn 8. Now, I thought I saw a car on the grass there. So I wasn't wrong. We didn't pick up on who it was, or rather I didn't pick up on who it was. Here comes Brian Cook then. He has the, I think that's either Jan Bernier or Frank Szczesniak ahead of him. So yellow flag at turns 8 and 9 now. So we just keep an eye on that to see. Oh, and around has gone the 346 car. Now, that is on the grass, and that's perfectly recoverable from there, and that's going to be the Dana Goodwin car. And yellow flag at turns 8 and 9 stay. What we're hoping is we can avoid a suspension of the session as Brian Cook then. And as I say, it's either Frank Szczesniak or Jan Bernier here because the liveries that they run are almost identical. And see a number of cars pulling into the pit lane. What have we got left in the session? 13 minutes or so. As Brian Cook is on something of a mission here. He is already quickest as we've got a red flag. And I rather thought we might see that red flag. And it is the 332 car then that Brian Cook was chasing down, and that is the Jan Bernier car. So red flag then, session has been suspended with 13 minutes remaining. And here we can see the 325 car of Thor Haugen, Ferrari Westlake, going around, doing something of a pirouette. Now, that won't be the reason for the red flag, I don't think, because Thor is able to get the car going again. And there you can see, that's the Dana Goodwin car, isn't it? Yeah. Where we saw earlier on. And now, if Dana has not been able to get that car back going, it just looked like the rear wheel had caught the ball because it was pointing inwards. So whether that car is going to have to be recovered, and whether that is the cause of the red flag because the car was stricken there. And of course, safety is of paramount importance. And if there's a car stuck somewhere on the track, then
it's better to stop it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Gives us the opportunity to get an overview over the times. We have an outstanding time with 2:14.383 on top of the timesheet. And the rest is between 2:19 and 2:21.
Enjoy some of the images that we have from the session so far to music right now. Right. We're being told that the session will restart in 20 seconds. Here's where it looks at the moment then with Matt Kojewski, best Trofeo Pirelli driver. Brian Cook, the best Trofeo Pirelli AM driver. These are the North American drivers. David Veronin has gone quickest for the Shell drivers, beating Cameron Root. And for the Cobra Shell AM drivers, it's Steve Check ahead of Lisa Clark and Lance Corley. However, there are still 13 minutes of this session remaining. Oliver Ives making the point that we are beginning to see, there is the Matt Kojewski car, the quickest car out there, and the quickest car by 4.8 seconds.
And the fastest car so far in the wet conditions today.
Yes, better than the European drivers. But we are beginning to see some track limits warnings.
Yeah.
Now, what tends to happen in track limits warnings in the in qualifying session is your lap time gets deleted.
Exactly, that's the point.
But are the track limits, and I don't know the answer to this, and actually you're not going to know the answer to this, so I'm putting you in an unfair position of trying to answer something, but
Let's ask.
I just wonder whether the track limits are becoming an issue as the drivers are just trying to avoid other traffic or taking a different line, but just a little bit too wide a line. We will see. We'll see if any more of them, I mean, we haven't seen any driver really, I mean, we're talking about 4 drivers out of a pack of 30.
But if you are trying to set a good time, then I think you try to go on the edge, over the edge, maybe not to avoid contact or blocking to a car behind. So we will see. I think it is a situation where we have to keep an eye on what this track limit means and where it happens. That's also a point here in Mugello. That's not easy. And what we see, the rain out there is still there. It's now, we mentioned 5 minutes ago, it's the west, now it's the east.
Matt Kojewski, yes, Matt Kojewski on his way out here. Now, his time of a 2:14.383, as Oliver Fendel has mentioned, he is the fastest car so far today in Ferrari Challenge. In really, really tricky conditions, and I would advocate that these conditions are as tricky as the European Trofeo Pirelli drivers had earlier on. Yes. Really good job being done there.
I'm a bit surprised that they are so familiar at the moment with these conditions, because they do not know so intensive and so good.
Well,
in Mugello, yes, you know it from the sim and everything, but the real, under these conditions we have here, that's quite good.
If you take your memory back, because I know you were watching it, when we were in Montreal in support of the Formula One Grand Prix, that was a wet weekend. So, generally speaking, I have to say one of the joys of going to North America is the fact that pretty much we're always going to get nice weather. However, Montreal was a shocker. This is Cameron Root then, and Cameron Root, who is currently the second fastest Shell driver. Cameron will not be happy with that. His arch enemy, although they're good buddies and they have healthy respect between each other, his arch enemy, David Veronin, has gone quicker. Now, Cameron will want to do something about that, and let's see what he can do, because all of a sudden, Oliver, we're in this position now where, because of that red flag and the suspension, we've now got 9.5 minutes remaining. Take away 2 minutes, which is what it's going to cost you to install, well, 2.5 minutes as near as makes no difference. All of a sudden, you're into the potential of maybe 3 laps against the clock. That's all you're going to get.
Yeah, could be interesting if, and it also, well, it just works out if you have no traffic.
Of course. And this is where you made the point earlier on. This is where your team and your driver coach and those that are on the radio to you can be so beneficial. Right, ease up now, let that car get by you. Once that car's got by you, you should have clear track. Give it full chat flat.
That's in this category up to Formula One. It's there was, I think, a car missing the apex. That's essential.
Here's David Veronin. Forgive me interrupting you. David Veronin then, who's got the brightest, most cleanest set of overalls, a race suit that you can see in the paddock. I mean, you can see him walking a mile away.
How many from this does he have?
Yeah, David Veronin then rounding the final turn. He's got several pairs, I'm sure. And David Veronin at the moment then is the best of the Shell drivers. And he'll be going for another hot lap now. I think that was his installation lap, and now he's going for it. So David Veronin then in the 377 car.
And you saw that he has 2 cars in front of him.
Yeah.
And that makes it maybe complicated because he is on a flying lap and the other ones are on this, on this installation or on the cool down lap. And this is exactly what we discussed just before, that it ruins your chance to improve. And you need to improve. You maybe need 2 laps.
Well, just as we've been watching David Veronin, Cameron Root has gone quickest. Cameron Root has delivered a 2:24.58. So that means that he's now quicker than David Veronin by a second and almost by exactly a second. So David Veronin has got to find some time now because Cameron Root is now P1 within class. I remind you that the Shell drivers have the yellow strip, the Shell Am drivers have the black strip, then the Trefio Pirelli drivers the red strip, and the Trefio Pirelli Am drivers the white strip across the windscreens. So the color coordination, you can understand who is in what particular class. So David Veronin then, P2 at the moment within class, that's P7 overall, and around has gone Bruce Cleveland. Now, Bruce was messaging me from earlier in the week, and you know, was one of those that was saying just how technical this Mugello circuit is. And Bruce is a great driver. And bit of push there from David Veronin, wasn't there?
Yeah, and then you feel in the onboard how the car is pushing the limit, and he got it to bring it back, but it costs maybe 2/10.
And that, unfortunately, means that he is not able to improve. Now, by push, what we mean is that as you make the turn, the car actually continues going straight.
Yes.
Now, there are degrees of that happening. It's called understeer, or as we call it in the motor racing parlance, it's push. And actually, there are some drivers that actually will design the setup of their car so it's more, so that it will perhaps push a bit more from the front end. There are other drivers that prefer a looser back end.
That's the oversteer one.
Which you get the oversteer. You're absolutely right. So it's interesting how certain drivers have different preferences for how their cars will perform.
And here we have in this all the Ferraris, they're starting on one level. That is equal level for everyone at the beginning, and they can adjust how they want to feel the car. And that's the nice thing, because you learn so much about technique.
McCade Wang just diving to the inside of Lisa Clark there. Good awareness by Lisa. She knew McCade was coming through, gave him room rather than trying to close the door through perhaps not being aware of McCade being there. They're in different classes, of course.
And it was through Arrabbiata too. It's really difficult. I threw away my car some years ago in this. Also comparable conditions, and it's easy that you lose your cars, and that's why it's so interesting how they manage it. And look at this time.
Look at that, he's improving still further. The Ferrari Beverly Hills driver, who is, as you can see, purple sector 1, purple sector 2, through the chicane now, just gently kisses the apex on the in and also the out of the final part of the chicane, heads towards the final turn now. Watch his line here, much wider than ordinarily he would take, but this means that Matt is able to get on the power perhaps a little bit earlier and just very smoothly head towards the timing line. The target time is a 2:14.383. I think this is going to be an improvement from Matt Kojewski.
Yes.
It is a 2:13.979. He's taken a big chunk out of his previous best time of 3.7. Well,
with worse condition than the previous time.
I would agree.
And you see, he is the king of the rain at the moment. He has the feeling how the rain line works, and as you described it, he got wide, and then turned steep into the last part of the corner to go straight on.
Cameron is improving as well. Look, sector 1 and sector 2, he's up. Oh, as we see a car now beached, and unfortunately, Is he going to get to the line before race control decide that the session is going to be suspended? So here comes Cameron Root then. Does improve. So,
Fourth.
a red flag. Now, I think with only 3 minutes remaining, that session will be finished now.
Yeah, makes sense.
You're not going to get out again. Who is it that has gone out? It is the 288 car of Custodio Toledo, who is out in the gravel. There's no point with just 3 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. By the time the drivers get out there, do an installation lap, they're going to have one lap. I'm not.
Maybe race control will give them the chance, but it will be quite tight because we have again the situation that the traffic is
you can have all
on
the
track,
cars,
and then
that's my prediction, that the session will not restart, but it is only a prediction. We cannot predict what race control are going to say. Here is the order as the session has been suspended, with Matt Kojewski and Roberto Perena, the top two. Then it's Brian Cook, the best of the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. Cameron Root, the best of the Copa Shells. And for the Copa Shell AM drivers, Steve Czech with a 224.866 is the best of those. So all four classes represented. But I tell you what, I've been impressed all season long with Matt Kojewski. This season, and coming here to Mugello in torrid conditions. Absolutely brilliant. And that's how Custodio.
No chance to catch the car.
And you know what? Once you've got even one wheel on that painted lines, you know you're a passenger, aren't you?
You can just start to catch your car.
Let's take a look at the beautiful collection colours of Dylan Medler. Dylan Medler was his third fastest in Trofeo Pirelli. And yes, you could just see Ali Balzan. There he is, Alessandro Balzan with the headphones on. Not this one, but to the very left of the picture. You could see who is Matt Kojewski's driver coach, talking of whom. Let's see the man. There he is, driving the 221 car, and he's delivered a 2:13.979. Now, relatively speaking, that's 3.226 seconds quicker than anybody else out there on the track. And as you make the point, he's the quickest 488 Challenge Evo driver of our sessions thus far today, which is very, very impressive. So, there you can see. Now, the cars are all queued up in the pit lane as if the session is going to restart again. So, there was me suggesting that perhaps it wouldn't. I just think
will be really, I stay in my opinion, will be tight, because when they all go out and you are from the middle to the end, you can just collect some experience, but set no new time that will bring you in front. But you can show me all that I'm wrong.
We've seen, or we are seeing, a number of drivers that are perhaps out of position relative to their success and what we know that they can do. One of those is Tony Davis, who's P7 in class for Trofeo Pirelli AM. Okay, let's enjoy some super slow-mos to music right now. Some super slow-mos then that we could see. Our qualifying sessions have been right royally impacted or affected by the weather conditions. And, well, session is going to restart. Let's take a look right now at Matt Kojewski. You can see the car pushing. There's confirmation that the session is going to restart at 16:13. I'm amazed, Oliver. I'm absolutely amazed.
Yeah.
There we are. There are minds far greater than mine that work on the rules and regulations, and they've decided that they're going to they're going to run it again. It's going to be a dash for cash because it's going to be 3 minutes, as near as makes no difference, left on the board. But
it just shows, Dave, how the race control trusts in the ability and the skills of the drivers.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, the IMSA on top of the Ferrari.
And of course, a number of the IMSA officials are here always, you know. Todd Schneider is the race director in North America, ably assisted by a fine team of people that he has. And there is the car that is beyond any doubt quicker than anyone else thus far today, having set a time of 2:13.979. And as we're watching these replays, I can tell you from the noise emanating from right outside our commentary studio that we go back to a green flag situation again with 3 minutes left on the clock for our Ferrari Challenge North American drivers to go qualifying in this finale Mondiale event for 2023. Here they come, roaring out of the pit lane. First of those to show, one of the first to show is Matt Kwiatkowski. Brian Cook, another one, and you can see the green flag being waved right now. And let's go back to qualifying once again. You can just see the Tony Davis car there. Tony, as I was mentioning, is another driver really that would be hoping to be able to improve within the 2.5 minutes that's remaining. But in truth, by the time they've done this installation lap, Oliver, they're going to get 1 lap.
Yeah, I think we will see the first 5 cars having a chance to improve. All the rest, we have now only 2 minutes 15. And the
best lap time is 2:13.
So, in my opinion, it's just collecting some more experience for them with wet conditions on the track. But the most important thing is to have the fingers crossed that anyone gets beside the track and make some, not necessary actions to lose the car or something. It's that's the most important thing for the moment. Accelerating at the moment. We see the top of the field trying to get back to the finish line, to the start-finish line, before the time runs out. And there you can see a view in front, and that's also interesting that there are the clouds again with rain.
I know. In fairness, you keep looking at the forecast, and it's kind of changing every few minutes, isn't it? And that's the wind impacting where the cloud is.
There in the mountains, I had the joy, or not joy, yesterday to cross the mountain in the evening with so much fog.
Yeah.
And then you understand better how fast this situation is changing here in Mugello.
Now this man, Kwiatkowski, is going to be able to get another lap in because he is going to be the first to cross the line, and he's going to cross the line comfortably before it's counted down to 0. So Kwiatkowski is going to be able to get another lap in. Is he going to do so? Well, I would suggest where his foot is on the accelerator pedal, where he's just driven away from them. And this is the thing, when you've got the track space and you're able to do that, that's absolutely fine. So Matt Kwiatkowski is going to go for an improvement on his 2:13.979. He obviously feels so confident in the car and the conditions and how the car is performing in these conditions. Brilliant job being done by Matt Kwiatkowski.
And his driver coach and the team who positioned him in the right spaces. And I'm really interested how many until now, and now the time runs out, it's finished, how many cars crossed the line to set one more.
It won't be all of them, that's for sure.
Definitely not. Not only 5, but I think it's not more than 10 from 30 at the moment on track.
You're right.
And what we see is again purple, and maybe again purple.
Well, as I say, this is, and forgive me, it sounds hackneyed really, but this is man and machine in perfect harmony, isn't it? Just absolutely brilliant. And I have to say, so too Brian Cook. Brian Cook is following him. He's some distance behind Matt Kwiatkowski, but Brian Cook doing a very good job. He's the best of the Trofeo Aprilia Am drivers, ahead of Justin Rothberg, Omar Balkasoon and Michael Porter. Now, Matt, as you can see from the purple Sector 1 has improved. We're going to cross the Sector 2 line momentarily, and we'll see if it's a purple sector for Sector 2. And yes, it is. And look, again, we're not talking about 100s being found here. He's found very nearly half a second on the cumulative lap time thus far.
What we discussed is the topic of track limits, and I keep my eyes on him, but I do not see any track limit avoidance. So it's perfect, as you say. He has a feeling for the car and the conditions that makes him play in his own league at the moment.
You're right. You're right. Here he goes then, heads towards the timing line right now. Expect this to be an improvement on the 2:13.979 as he crosses the timing line now. He delivers a 2:13.253, so it's another 7 1/4 tenths up. So there you can see the delight down there at the garage. Ferrari Beverly Hills, Matt Kujewski, another impressive performance. Brian Cook improved as well, I think, with a 2:17.759. Although there's track limits against Sector 2 for Brian Cook, so whether that time gets taken away. So, as all the cars that were eligible to cross the line, having crossed the line before it went to 0, let's see what and who improves. But the best of the Trofeo Pirelli drivers is Matt Kujewski. The best of the Pirelli AM drivers is Brian Cook. Now in the battle for Shell Honours, it's Cameron Root ahead of David Veronin. For Shell AM drivers, it's Bruce Cleveland who improved, and he goes P1 ahead of Steve Czech, who held that P1 position for quite some time in that session. So Bruce Cleveland managed to point it in the right direction just when he needed to. You can see Ale Balzan there, all thumbs up for this man who had done a brilliant job.
Also interesting to see that they cut due to time reasons, that we can continue with the last session of today.
So the European qualifying session for Trofeo Pirelli is going to start to be confirmed at 4:25. We're at 16:20 right now. We will see, because there's a TBC there. Here's confirmation of who did what and where. Matt Kujewski and Roberto Perino, top 2 in Trofeo Pirelli. For Trofeo Pirelli AM, it's Brian Cook ahead of Michael Porter. For Copa Shell, Cameron Root just besting David Veronin. And for Copa Shell AM, Bruce Cleveland, P1, ahead of Steve Czech, P2. That's the way it looks in terms of the top 2 throughout Pirelli, Pirelli AM, also Shell and Shell AM for our Ferrari Challenge North America drivers.